All right, you guys. Hello, Olivia Reiner here for Packers News, joined by Jim Ozarski, and we are switching it up just a little bit for our live stream. I personally was getting a little sick of the backdrop in the visitors' locker room, and if you were with us yesterday, you may know it happens to be freezing cold in there.
Yeah.
So
It's too cold anyway.
We're not going outside.
So I agree with this. I agree with this change of venue.
Yeah,
we picked a good spot.
It's nice, and we got the Lambeau Field in the background. Yeah. We're warm, which is a wonderful change of pace.
Yeah.
It would be nice to be outside. However, I know with the sun up, it was around 14 degrees out.
Yeah.
And now that the sun is down, I can only imagine we're probably looking at single digits right now.
Yeah, we actually want to communicate with you all. I don't think the devices might work in that temperature for too long.
That's a good point. That's a good excuse for the reason why we're not out there. Even though we were out there in the snow and the freezing cold this weekend.
Pete and Ryan for sure can handle outside. This works today.
Yeah. It's actually, it might be colder today than it was on Sunday after the Seahawks game. That might be the case. But anyway, guys, hello. How are you all? Hope you're having a wonderful night. We will get to your questions over on Facebook very shortly. But first, as always, we like to just catch you up a little bit on the day, talk about practice. Practice today, uneventful. I'm sure Packers fans want to hear that. Their team is pretty much healthy. Geronimo Allison returned to practice after dealing with an illness yesterday. So that's a good sign for them that they'll have him. Conversely, the 49ers are also the spitting image of health. Yeah. So the Packers have benefited immensely from matchups where the other team has been dilapidated and the Packers have been predominantly healthy throughout the season. This is not the case. They're going up against another very healthy, very talented team.
Yeah, and not only that, but the 49ers got Dee Ford and Quan Alexander back, two starters in that defensive front seven. And obviously we saw and we remember what the other guys did to the Packers the first time around. Really the only issue the 49ers have, and it's one they've dealt with for many weeks since that first game, was, center Weston Richburg has been out. They do have a backup in there. This is, I'm forgetting his name right away, but it was, he's been playing long enough, let's put it that way, that at least they feel comfortable and they've been winning with him at center. So you're right, Olivia. And I don't think it's a coincidence. You've got two teams in the NFC Championship, two 13-3 teams that have been healthy. That is usually a formula for success. So, this week, we'll see what happens when they travel in terms of this illness, right? But as for now, it looks like they may be coming out the other end.
Yeah. So also just
in a good way.
Yes, because there could be a bad way, I guess, as Brian Balaga so eloquently stated earlier this week. So anyway, thank you, Jim, for that transition.
Of course,
So also just to catch you guys up on today, locker room wise, yesterday was pretty jam packed. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers spoke, Devontae Adams spoke at the podium, and so did Aaron Jones, and there were a whole lot of guys speaking at their lockers today. Today it was definitely a little thinner in the locker room. I think a lot of guys figured they spoke on Wednesday. Not as much going on today, but we did get to hear from Preston and Zadarius Smith together at the podium, which has become more of a theatrical performance than anything else as of late.
Yeah, no real insights given or anything like that, especially for those of us and those of you who've watched Olivia's videos of those press conferences all season long. Nothing we didn't know other than, them wanting to sort of reiterating the fact that if you're going to beat the San Francisco 49ers, they have to win the line of scrimmage. And I think that's both sides of the ball. And as far as the Smiths are concerned, setting those edges, and that run game is so good for San Francisco that, they'll have to be good there, but also getting to the quarterback when needed.
Yes. All right. Before we get into that, Jim, why don't we head on over to Facebook? Hello, everybody. Hi to Heather from Chicago. She's a Packers fan in Chicago. I know there are more of those. Perhaps you guys are just not as vocal as the Bears fans, obviously, in Chicago. Maybe you keep it under wraps a little bit more.
Yeah, there's definitely Packers fans in Illinois and Chicago.
Sure.
Yes.
For sure. Craig, our guy from Calgary, he said it was negative 35 this morning in Calgary. Yikes, cold. Does not sound great. No. Davey is from Lafayette, Indiana. You're all over the place, guys. This is pretty fun for us.
Welcome in.
So we have a question here from Christine. She wants to know what's the status on George Kittle and his ankle injury. Ankle Kittle, a lot of K's and L's in those words there. He was a full participant in practice today, so that's a sign, I'm sure. Even yesterday when he didn't practice, I think we were all pretty much like, okay, there is no way this guy does not play on Sunday.
Right.
If it's just, a bodily injury.
Right.
Perhaps if there was some other catastrophe happening, maybe he wouldn't play on Sunday, but I think this guy's going to power through.
Oh, for sure. And that's, I don't think, I think really you want to look at the injury report on Friday. As always, that's the one where if a guy didn't participate or was limited, you kind of keep an eye on it. But for the most part, the 49ers are healthy. And, I think that guy might, I think only an amputation at this point would keep him from playing, to be honest.
Well, hopefully no one has to chop off any limbs at all. No, we don't like hurt limb people. Anyway, Levi wants to know, will Pettin sell out to stop the run or stick to his guns and stop the pass first like always? As we know, Mike Pettin likes to say, it is easier to fly to Miami than it is to walk to Miami or drive to Miami. It's definitely faster.
Those,
definitely faster to fly than walk or drive. But yes, Mike Pettin has been known to stop the pass first. That's what the ball's getting down the field faster that way. But what about the San Francisco's 49ers run threat and also the amount that they use play action? How do they balance attacking both?
Yeah, I don't think to answer the immediate part of that question, no, I don't think they sell out to stop the run, because you're right, Olivia, that kind of goes against his ethos, and they're not going to change what they do now. I mean, they got here doing what they do. So I think it is to stop the pass first, to stop those explosive plays. I mean, 2 of those touchdowns in San Francisco the first time around covered, over 100 yards? Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, catch and run, wide open. That's what they want to prevent first. And then, obviously, I think they'd rather they want to stop the run enough to create 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, and make Jimmy Garoppolo beat them through the air, because I think they feel they can stop that more often. So it's kind of both. But so it's not selling out. I think they just want to be more stout. And actually, they were in San Francisco the first time. There was a 25-yard run by Jeff Wilson. But other than that, it was those pass plays that really kind of broke the back of the Packers defense.
Yes, you mentioned some of those explosive pass plays that ended up hurting the Packers defense. Is that part of the Packers defense pass? Have we seen enough growth and development from them that they're not doing that anymore? They're not giving up those big explosive plays? Is there reason for optimism to believe that Packers fans are going to see something different on Sunday?
Yeah, I think so. It's fair to say, you look at the Packers' schedule since that game, it's like, oh, who did they play? And, what were the real threats? Look, even before that game, teams were, we'd get on here talking about you can't cover a tight end. What about all these explosive plays down the middle of the field and all this? So they've cleaned that up. It's been a lot better since San Francisco. Part of that is, I talked to a couple of coaches who have played the Packers and game plan for them. They have said, really, Mike Pettin kind of just played a more simplified defense. Let those front 4 or 5 rush. Let them play the run and then play coverage off of that where you're not really in so many exotic looks. So I do think it is behind them. Now, that said, San Francisco's probably going to get a couple. I mean, it's the NFL. So the question is, is it 25 yards and then a tackle as opposed to 25 yards and then they run another 40 for his touchdown? Right. I mean, I think that's what they need to avoid Sunday.
Yeah, how do they respond? And it goes the same on offense, too. These guys, Billy Turner said it today in the locker room, there's a good chance the Packers' offense is going to get off schedule, too.
Yeah.
They might be thrown off. And it's not about, how do we catch up and they start to get more and more behind, but really how do they respond? How do they get back on track? Positive yards. I know we hear those cliches. It is a little cliche, but that is exactly what they need to do. They cannot be phased the same way they were last time in San Francisco.
Right. And, I'm sure they'll take something from the fact that 3rd and 9 they convert to Jimmy Graham to beat the Seahawks. 3rd and 8 was the play with Devontae Adams, that kind of corner route for 20-something yards. They don't want to have to make too many of those late in the game. San Francisco's better than that. But you're right. I mean, the Packers are going to have to make a few of those, especially early, because that defense is too talented. They might try to run it twice, and it's 3rd and 7. And they have to make that happen without a disastrous play that we saw the first time around.
So going back to the injury report, we've got Kenneth. He wants to know, what is the status of Allen Lazard and his ankle injury? He was a limited participant again in practice. He was also limited yesterday. What will Packers fans want to see tomorrow? Is it, if he's limited again tomorrow, does that leave any doubt for Sunday? Or at this rate, would you imagine he's going to be putting it out there on the line regardless of what his status is tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, he's been dealing with it since Detroit. So, and that was even after the bye week. I think probably, I don't know, maybe he could have played. I mean, when he was out against Seattle, they were up by 3 scores, right? No, he's going to play. I mean, I can imagine him being limited and questionable going into Sunday, but really in Matt LaFleur's year, anyone who's questionable plays, basically, for the Packers. So he's going to play. We'll see how limited he is on the field, But, I don't know. Does it really – I hate to say this. I don't know if it matters. Like, Devontae Adams is the guy, and it's going to be someone who has to step up. So whether it's Allen Lazard or Geronimo Allison or MVS or Jimmy Graham we could go through the list. They're only going to catch 2 to 4 passes, right? I mean, Lazard, I guess, has had more impact plays, so I get that concern. But I don't know. I think they've just made those secondary guys so secondary that it could be anyone, whether Allen Lazard is 100% or not. So knock on him. He's earned that starting role again. But, I mean, would we be shocked if Jay Kumro catches 3 passes for 40 yards?
You know who has kind of stepped up into the Allen Lazard role, at least as of last game against Seattle? Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
Dare I say. I know I might ruffle some feathers out there because I don't think there's a good perception of Jimmy Graham out there in the world. And granted, he hasn't had the greatest season ever. However, game against Seattle, he was really important to this team on third down and being able to convert those and keep the ball moving. Allen Lazard, for a little while, was the go-to guy in some scenarios on third down too, which says a lot about his growth this season, that Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur, they're willing to go to this kid on third down. But last game, it was Jimmy Graham, which you'd imagine that's the role he should be playing all season, but it really was on Sunday.
Yeah, and that is a big question. Can he be as effective or great? Here's the funny thing about that, Olivia. What do you have, 3 catches for 45 yards, right? That's kind of what he's been doing all year. I think the difference is 3rd and 9 won the game, and then 20 yards to KJ Wright late in the game when it mattered. There was more of a when he caught that ball as opposed to that he caught it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That sticks out for people. So, yeah, I mean, every first down matters, of course. But, yeah, if he can catch 3 passes for 50 yards and they come late, that matters. I think Sternberger, Tanya, and I'm curious to see what Matt LaFleur, how he builds off their use from the Seattle game. Because they were on the field together more often last week.
Yes, so we'll continue with some offense talk. What is the plan to slow down the 49ers pass rush? Goodness gracious, pass rush.
Ankle kiddles?
Ankle.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
It's hard to talk today, guys.
Yeah.
If we had the plan, I don't think we would be standing here in front of you. We'd probably be working for the Packers, or at least
My
working.
bank account would be much bigger.
Working in the NFL in some capacity. But what can the Packers do? Can they do anything? That's a really strong defensive front that they're going up against. Tom Silverstein, one of his ideas yesterday when we were talking on the live stream, he said, hey, get the ball out to the running backs. Quick checkdowns, move the ball quick. Do some different things with Aaron Jones, Tyler Ervin. He's been getting more involved in the offense, Jamal Williams. Get those guys involved and get the ball out fast.
Yeah, I think, the first thing you can do, and it's cliche, but it works, is establish a running game. Even if it's 3.5 yards a carry, if you're committed to it, they have to honor it to a degree. And now to build off that, if everyone can remember, Aaron Rodgers sort of posterized Nick Bosa with his play fake, where Bosa just ran right past him and Rodgers goes the other way. That can limit that pass rush. Those guys are so fast, so aggressive. They figure they're going to get to the ball eventually, so why not take advantage of that aggressiveness and go the other way with some boots, some moving pockets, some play action, things like that. And then, of course, in a more traditional format, the 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 9s we talked about, where you kind of know it's a pass. Look, these guys talk about winning one-on-ones all the time, Olivia. Maybe you leave Mercedes in and you chip your double, Danny Vitale's in, and you just kind of hope and plan for your receivers to win a one-on-one because you have to leave an extra guy in for help.
So Kenny wants to know, if Adams is doubled, who do you think needs to step up more? I think that might leave opportunity for Aaron Jones. He might be someone who the Packers can get the ball to. Whoever isn't covered, that might be a guy that could step up.
Right, and Adams had a great day. Aaron Rodgers has said the best offenses get their go-to guys the ball. Well, to me, it's still Aaron Jones. I'm not forgetting that he ran it 20-plus times Sunday. I think they need to do that again. Now it's whether does he break one? Does he catch 4 passes, which he did not do Sunday? So if Davante Adams is double covered, triple covered, we're going to see that. I don't know if there's an answer to who gets it next. I think it's just that's up to the quarterback to determine who that is and where they are.
Right. Yeah, it's a good thought.
Yeah.
Yes. But Carl agrees with you. Aaron Jones needs to have a big day. Part of the issue, one of the reasons he wasn't able to get going against San Francisco at all on the ground or through the air whatsoever is because they got so far behind the ball.
Right.
So I think there are, if the unique scenarios that characterize the Week 12 games stay in Week 12, they're able to start off fast, get the ball out quickly, not get so behind that they feel like they're playing catch up and trying to make these plays happen that aren't there. Then if the Packers play the way they did against Seattle, is there a shot that they can beat this team?
Oh, of course. The difference between this game and some of the other ones that were closer, it's not Detroit. They can kind of play around with the Lions and try things that are out of character or try to push the limits of coverage or whatever and still come back and win or never, lead in the game and win at the end. That's been established, and I think the Packers have said that all week long. This team is too good to make mistakes against or make too many mistakes against because some will happen. But, yeah, if they keep it close, look, we know the Packers can win close games. We know if they're down by 7 or 9 in the fourth quarter, there's no panic. Now, the 49ers, we don't know. They've played a couple of close games. They've lost a handful. They've won a handful. But do we know how Jimmy Garoppolo is going to react? Do we know how that home crowd's going to react if they're down by 7 late? I don't know. So, sure, as long as the Packers don't repeat those mistakes, which repeat the avalanche, of course they have a chance. I mean, and I think it's a better chance than maybe even Vegas thinks.
So how many points, maybe?
I don't think it's a 7.5-point game if the Packers do what they've done all year besides the one game. And I'm going to go with the sample size, the 16 other games they've played. So I don't know. I think it's a one-possession game. I know that's 7, and that's not. I know 7 is one possession, but I think it's closer than that. I don't quite know where I'm leaning on my prediction yet, but it's I think it can be a tighter contest.
Yes, it was tough. I was asked to make somewhat of a prediction, not give a score today, but
we don't have to today yet.
I did for a radio thing.
You're on record now.
I did, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Cold Takes Exposed.
I don't know how I feel about it. So anyway, we'll get back into that tomorrow. So you're going to want to make sure you come back and join us. We'll give you guys our predictions, and of course, we'll be taking more questions. So if we didn't get to you, don't worry about it. We'll be back tomorrow to chat with you guys. We'll also be back on the day of the game in Santa Clara before the game to preview with you guys. Me and Pete Doherty will be on the field. Hopefully it won't be too crowded. Last time the sidelines were packed. I'm thinking maybe the playoff game might be different. Maybe. I don't know.
It might be
worse.
Guys might get run over out there.
I hope not. We'll have to get down there early. Get to the game early, Jim. All right, guys, make sure you check out PackersNews.com for all of your Packers news. Follow us on social media. Get lots of updates. We are heading out of here on Saturday, but we will be here at media availability all day tomorrow, so we'll provide any updates if we have any for you. And, of course, we'll be getting the final injury report tomorrow as well. I think that's all I have to say. Jim, final word?
Yeah, make sure subscribe and download Packers News. We got a deal. It's only $1 for the month.
Oh, really?
You can get all of this stuff.
Oh, my gosh, stuff.
You need.
Yeah, don't
go get it.
Be educated. We try to share a lot of information with you in this short period of time, but there's a lot more over on our website, things that we don't get to talk about, things that might answer some of your questions that you already have. We try to bring you inside the locker room as much as we possibly can. So I'm a little biased, but I think that's a pretty good deal.
Pretty good.
Not bad.